How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to episode 22 of the Sick Podcast with your host, that Leafs fan. Now, let me start it off with this. When you're watching a TV show, it is best watched from start to finish. Skipping parts in between kind of removes the whole purpose of getting the details, and you might just miss something. The same goes for a hockey game. It is best played in 60 minutes. Before we get into any of that, producer, roll the tape.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With that Leafs fan.
They score! They score! Holy mackerel, they score! Morgan Riley! Mo Riley! The Leafs have won it! They're going to the second round! Do you believe this? Holy mackerel!
The sickest Toronto Maple Leafs podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Ask and you shall receive, ladies and gentlemen. I asked for the New Year's resolution of this team to be to play a full 60-minute hockey game. And they didn't just do it once. They did it back-to-back against the LA Kings and the Anaheim Ducks to start off the new year 2-0, and it was massive. These 4 points were massive. We got lots to talk about. But first thing I want to start off with is the fact that the team in front of the Leafs plays a lot better when you get saves. And Martin Jones provided exactly that. He has let in one goal in the past 2 games. He got a shutout versus the Kings, went back-to-back against the Anaheim Ducks, and only let in one and gave the boys a chance because, quite frankly, if Martin Jones let in 2 goals in that game, the Leafs were highly likely not winning that because Lucas Dostal had probably the most dominant performance of a goalie in a loss I think I have ever seen, besides maybe Carey Price. But that was easily, hear this stat, chat. Why am I saying chat? It's like I'm streaming on Twitch. Here, this stat is ridiculous. So Martin Jones let in 1 goal on, I believe it was 28 shots. He let in 1 goal. He had a save percentage of .964. Lucas Dostal let in 2 goals, double of what Martin Jones let in that game. He finished with a save percentage of .965. The Leafs literally doubled up on shots and some on the Ducks. They won, and the Anaheim Ducks goalie had a better save percentage. That blew my mind. Lucas Dostal literally, he looked like Jesus. The Anaheim Ducks could do nothing to defend the net, sorry. And Lucas Dostal's like, all right, tape my arms and my legs and just believe in me. He single-handedly got the Anaheim Ducks a point. That was it was looking to be one of those games until it wasn't. Thank God it wasn't. But it was looking to be like one of those games where no matter what we do, no matter what we send on net, Austin Matthews had 14 shots in that game. That was half of the entire Ducks team in the whole game. If Matthews played 60 minutes in this game, I wouldn't be surprised if he single-handedly had more shots than the entire Ducks team throughout the game. That was just, here's what I liked about it, okay? There was really not a whole, let's start off with the Kings game before I get into the Ducks game instead of working backwards. The Leafs probably with their, I don't want to call it most comfortable win against the Kings because it was a hard-fought game, but when I say comfortable, I mean the Leafs were in control from start to finish. From start to finish. You're talking about an LA team who is top 10 team in the NHL right now. They are playing exceptionally well. They're in LA. It's 10:30 at night. And this could have easily been one of those games where it was flipped around, where the Leafs just don't show up ready, especially after the stretch we had. And remember what I said, the difference between a team that makes the playoffs and a team that doesn't Everyone goes through bad streaks. Every single team in the NHL, including the best ones, go through a losing streak. What separates the two is who can end that streak the quickest and get back to winning ways. And this showed me that the Leafs are actually a good team. And are they the best? No. Are they the worst? No. They went in there after a 1-4-2 run to end 2023. They head into 2024, and it was a reset button, and it was massive. They played a 60-minute game, and that's the result you will get when you play a full hockey game. When you are implicated from start to finish, that's the results you're going to get. And that is what is so frustrating about this team, that has been so frustrating about this team, is that we've seen them play, let's say, for example, the best first period of the season, and they follow it up with like the worst second period we've ever seen. In this game, they were the same team first, second, and third period. There was moments a little better than others, but overall they had full control of the game. Nylander just looking like a complete menace. Tyler Bertuzzi, I want to apologize to you if you've listened to the podcast. You deserve my apology, even though I think I've already given one. I'm going to give it again. I think that was Tyler Bertuzzi's best game as a Leaf, like bar none, wasn't even close. The guy was just a dog out there. He reminds me, like you watch Tyler Bertuzzi play, and me at least, I just kind of look at myself and I'm like, I don't get, like, I'm just watching this guy. He's got hair all over the place. He's got no tape on his stick. He's got pancakes on his skates. He's missing a tooth. He's just kind of doing stuff, and it works. It's kind of like when you go to like your local hockey arena and you're watching a game and there's just like one guy who stands out because his build slash, if you want to call it fashion or whatever, style, and you're just like, I don't get it, but he's just an absolute dog out there. That's Tyler Bertuzzi. That is Tyler Bertuzzi. He loses his glove. And here's what's the crazy part. So you see him lose his glove. This is on the second goal that I'm referring to. The last full goal we scored besides the empty net at the end of the game from Nylander, doubling up. We're going to get to Nylander very shortly in this one. He loses his glove, and he's wearing like some sort of a brace on his wrist, which means his there's something going on there that he's probably playing through. He loses his glove. In the NHL nowadays, the amount of slashes that you get to the arm, the wrist, the hands is like never before. This guy could have easily gotten a stick straight to his hand and it would have obliterated it. And the guy's just dogging it in the corner. He just brings the puck in. He intercepts or stick checks the guy, hits him, random spinorama, puts the puck in the middle of the ice. Good things happen when you put the puck in empty space. Kelly Yarncroke picks it up, 2-0, and we were in full control after that point. It was just absolutely amazing. And these are the types of performances like we need from guys like this. Like, this is what I expected from Bertuzzi in terms of the like tenacity he brings to the team, where it's not always going to be pretty. Matter of fact, it's almost never going to be pretty, but he's going to get it done. And in that sense, like, those types of performances are like absolutely massive for the team. They are completely massive for the team. And even for his confidence, like, he hasn't gotten as many points as maybe some of us would have imagined, or goals or anything. And to be honest with you, I don't even care about the amount of points Bertuzzi had. I want to see him play performances like the one versus the Kings. The guy doesn't have to score for 10 games. I don't care. That's what we need from him, because we have guys on the team that can score. We don't have many guys that dog it the way he does. And it was a very, very good performance. So Tyler Bertuzzi, I know I shat on you at the beginning of the season. I was wrong, and I apologize. But anyways, moving past that, stability in net, I mean, it goes such a long way. You can tell the team is playing far more confident with Martin Jones in net rather than Ilya Samsonov. Um, it had to be done eventually at some point. If Samsonov was in the game against the Ducks, we lost 2 points. Let's like not nothing against Samsonov as a human, but in terms of goaltending, if Samsonov was in that game, we were toast. There was never a chance. Um, Martin Jones could have only let in one goal in that game, and even that was almost too much, and kept us in it. Because if Samsonov was in nets, that was 3, 4, maybe even 5 going in, and you just threw out 2 points in a game that you completely dominated from start to finish. So that was very nice to see. Um, Austin Matthews becoming the first player in Toronto this season, in the NHL, matter of fact, to hit 30 goals on the season. He has now 30 goals in 35 games. He's missed one, and it was against the Penguins. So that's why he's at 35 and not 36, which puts him on an active pace right now for 70.24 basically 70 goals on the season, which is dumb. That's just stupid. That is just completely and utterly stupid. And something I noticed, and this is actually regarding Matthew Nyes in ties with Austin Matthews. We've been very used to seeing Austin Matthews stick checking and being very good in tight situations, somehow managing to like steal the puck, like those little details that kind of elevate his game, where he's like kind of always a threat even without the puck. And what I'm noticing is that Matthew Nyes is heavily, heavily, heavily feeding off and learning from Matthews, because the amount of stick checks that I saw, that the play could have easily been going the other way, and Matthew Nyes just a little with the stick, play turns around, switches it up, ends up drawing 2 penalties in the third period. We didn't end up scoring on it, but it killed 4 minutes on the clock against the Kings, who were at some point surging in the third period. So that was huge, very massive. These are just like little things. It's little things that just tend to go your way when you play a full game. Because if you're playing 60 minutes, the other team will eventually be forced to make mistakes, especially heading into desperation mode, which the Kings were in. They needed to score, which means they needed to have the puck. And Matthew Nyes just found a way to keep that puck, draw attention to him, and force a penalty on the other team. And I thought that was probably one of the more underrated aspects of that game that I noticed. It was just kind of like something that wasn't really talked about, and I think deserved to be talked about. I think that's something I was very excited to see regarding Matthew Nyes, is that it's not just a guy that can score. He has different abilities in his game, whether it's setting up something. I think my favorite point from Matthew Nyes, or favorite aspect of his game, has to be his ability to his strength on the puck. It's similar to like John Tavares. When John Tavares has the puck, he's not the fastest skater, but it is very, very, very hard to get the puck off of him because of how good he is at protecting himself with the puck. Now, Matthew Nyes is not exactly, he doesn't do the exact same like protective mechanisms with the puck, in the sense that he doesn't necessarily battle it around the corners. He keeps the puck in flat center ice. Like there's just 3 guys on him, and he just kind of like handles his way through it while like kind of keeping an aura, like using his body as kind of like an aura of like protection of the puck. And it's like it's just really fun to watch. Like as a hockey fan, it's just like exceptional to be able to like witness that. And like I've played hockey for like 15 years. I was like very mid. I would never be able to do things like that. Like like what I'm trying to say is I can recognize how, to me, how amazing that aspect of his game is, because I've played hockey for a very long time. I could not protect the puck like that. Like I had a hard time just handling the puck. I was not very agile or very like versatile in the sense that Matthew Nyes is that with that speed, with that offensive threat, he is also a very, very, very strong force when having the puck. And when that's, I think, such an important key to have to your game, because if the puck is very hard to get off of you and is not like the average, it means that the players attacking you to get the puck off are going to require either a dogged effort, or you're going to have to like commit a a penalty. You're going to have to take a penalty to get the puck off of him. So it's just, I find it's probably one of the most underrated aspects of his game. And I'm thinking, like, I can tell that Matthew Nyes is learning from Austin Matthews in terms of stick checking, and he's learning from John Tavares in terms of puck protection. And if he can keep developing that, I think it's something that the Leafs need, because it creates that like threat. Because now we're talking about a player who isn't a part of, well, he's a part of the top six, but like he's not in that core four of Tavares, Nylander, Marner, Matthews. We know that these guys, when they're on their game, are some of the best players in the league, and even at points like the best players in the league. But having like seeing it from such a young talent like Matthew Nyes, I think is very promising, because the Leafs don't have a lot of prospects. They don't have a lot of draft picks. So the picks and prospects we have, they need to hit. And Matthew Nyes is hitting right now. Like, this kid is going to get continuously better. This is his first, or on pace for his first full season as a Leaf, and he looks like he's been there. If like he's got strength that you would normally see from players like in their prime. And I think, I don't know, I was just, for some reason, that was one of the things I retained the most in that whole game. Again, the whole team played very well. Martin Jones with a very comfortable performance in that shutout. It was very nice to see. And this to me was just, it's just the thing I noticed the most. And it's also similar to someone like Kelly Yarncroke in the game, where we need to have, like, we need performances like this from around the lineup besides just the top four, because what it does is it alleviates the pressure and allows the top four to play their game if they know that the team around them and the players around them are also capable of handling their own in the game. And I thought that was it was just I was really happy to see it. Like, again, Tyler Bertuzzi with the dogged effort, Max Domi really starting to display his playmaking like abilities. Like, I'm really starting to like see the good in Max Domi, and it's coming. Nick Robertson he didn't start the game against the Kings. I meh. I don't know how I felt about it. I mean, it is what it is. I didn't have a whole lot to say. I thought Robertson's been having a good season. It just hasn't exactly gone his way. But anyway, I thought efforts like that, like even Matthew Nyes, Kelly Yarncroke, like all of these performances outside of these top four, like core four players, is a very promising aspect. And I think these are performances you see when the team plays a 60-minute performance. I think at the end of the day, all of these positive things only occurred because they played a full game. Because quite frankly, it would have been a wasted effort if the Leafs played in the first 30 minutes. Normally, what we were used to seeing is eventually they fall back and allow the other team back into the game. And they just didn't do that. They just played a full game. And it was surprising. How do I say this? It was like a pleasant surprise, but I no longer want it to be a surprise. The Leafs motto this new calendar year of 2024 simply has to be play a full game. Because if the Leafs play a 60-minute game, are they going to be the number one team in the NHL? I don't know. They're definitely a top 10 team if they're playing a full game. That's been the issue for them for such a long time, is that they play in spurts. And what I've noticed over the last two games is it was probably the most full hockey we've seen from this team, like practically all season. And it, like, even against the Ducks, right? The Leafs lose that game against the Ducks, and it's just another Leafy loss. You dominate, and it just kind of slipped away from you. Instead, the Leafs dominated that game from start to finish, and it was never close. They go down 1-0. They don't stop. They go, they go, they go, they go, they go. I think Lucas Dostal probably made more saves in the last 10 minutes of the game than Martin Jones did all game. And like, I'd be curious to look that up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's relatively close. But it's just like these. I said every single point matters this season, and it really does, especially with where the Leafs find themselves in the standings. And even if they lost this game, they didn't play a bad game. Like, let's say you take away the tying goal in the last 5 minutes, the Leafs did not play. They actually played a pretty solid game, to be honest. And it would have just really been unfortunate if I was sat here saying the goalie stole it from us. Like, it would have really sucked. It really would have sucked to say that. And it was a matter of playing to the bell. And once the Leafs tied that game, by the way, they didn't stop by any means. Like, they just kept dominating, like dominating. The Ducks went into the Leafs zone like maybe 3 times. Maybe there was no real threat. They maybe had like one chance. The Leafs had like 15 to 20 scoring chances in the third period alone. And like it was, and in overtime as well. Once they gained control of play, it just kind of like flourished, and eventually when you keep throwing the puck on net, good things are going to happen. Was it the prettiest goal of all time that Matthews scored in overtime? No. He just found himself open space, put himself in a good angle to the net, and shot it. Like, it looked nice, and then I watched the replay. I'm like, it kind of like deflected off Dostal and just found its way in. But that's what it is when you put it on net. He didn't look there. He didn't hold it, do like a crazy deep. No, he just put it on net. Very simple. And that's another aspect that I'm noticing about Auston Matthews' game, is that his goals are a lot less like wow. And that to me just shows that he is getting, if you want to call it, a more elevated IQ in the offensive zone. It's not about the highlight reel goals anymore. Like, a lot of Matthews' goals this season have been relatively like regular plays. Like, obviously there's been a few that have been completely stupid because it's Auston Matthews and he can just do things that we do not comprehend or even vision. But most of his goals are just very average goals that like you're just putting the puck on net. And I'm noticing his intelligence in the offensive zone is really what's turning him to be one of the greatest goal scorers to play this game, is that he's no longer doing like the fancy stuff. He's just simply right place, right time. He knows where to be. He knows where the puck is going to be. And once he has the puck, he wastes no time. He just kind of in volume at the net, because good things happen when you put the puck on net. Now we get to William Nylander, and there's like 3 different things I want to talk about. I'll start with the first one. Nylander becomes the first player on the Leafs this season to hit 50 points on the year, and I believe it makes him like the 5th or 6th player in the league to hit 50. What a season he is having. He's even starting to have like some plays on the penalty kill. He's just, when he has the puck in the offensive zone, it's just magnificent to watch. Like, this guy just controls the game. He's like a quarterback who just kind of like sees plays before they're even starting, and he creates it. And he's really took a leap, and we don't have him signed yet. And the rumor that I heard, I love William Nylander, by the way, before I get into this segment. I love William Nylander. I think he is honestly at this current moment in time getting paid 6.9 whatever million, probably the best contract in the, arguably top 3 minimum best contract in the league. And we're going to have to re-sign him. And the rumor is, I believe it was Friedman who put it on Twitter, or I don't exactly remember where, but there was inner analysts, if you want to call it, giving their like sources of hearing that William Nylander and the Leafs are apparently coming close to an agreement, and it's north of $11 million for 8 years. Where that was my first reaction, and it's still my reaction. Where? Do the Leafs just have like $140 million of salary cap, or are we just going to have Ryan Reeves on our first, second, third, and fourth line alongside these guys? I don't know. I actually like, I genuinely like how, like, I actually don't know where they're finding this $11 million. If this is true, again, it's a rumor, it's not confirmed. But when I heard it, the reason I didn't believe it wasn't because I don't think Nylander doesn't deserve $11 million, because quite frankly, I think there's a lot of teams that would pay Nylander $11 million, almost every team. But it's like, where? Like, how are you doing that? Like, I'm looking at the salary cap. It's like, okay, we have $342,000 in cap space. Nylander wants 11 mil. That's a lot more than 350,000. Where are you getting this money? And I know there's contracts expiring and stuff, but it's like, I don't know. That just, and what's even crazier than that contract talk is the fact that William Nylander is not even directly into the All-Star game. Now is where I'm going to get to, like, these types of calls from the NHL is literally like, if there was a, if it's not a league. It's actually not a league. The NHL just does whatever it wants. It doesn't care about feedback from the fan. It's not a league. I watch it because I love hockey. If there was another NHL, I'd probably watch it, type of thing, where it's like Boone Jenner. So the NHL has this thing when it comes to the All-Star game where, and I get it. I get where they're coming from. I understand the vision. They want to have a player to represent every single one of the 32 teams in the NHL, meaning that every team has at least one player going to the All-Star game. I get it. Okay. I get it because you want to include all the fans into the All-Star game. But let me say that again. The All-Star game. How is Cale Makar, William Nylander, Elias Pettersson, how are these guys not directly like what is this, a participation? Like, they want to level up the All-Star game, and then they do this. What are we doing here, guys? What are we doing here, guys? Boone Jenner doesn't even have 30 points. Nylander has over 50. I don't care that Matthews, and not to mention it's in Toronto. It's in Toronto. How is he not directly there? What are we doing? I want to go if I'm to go to the All-Star game, I want to watch the All-Stars of the NHL. I'm sorry. I'm sure Blue Jackets fans would rather watch William Nylander at the All-Star game than Boone Jenner. Correct me if I'm wrong. I literally had a Habs fan tell me, Nick Suzuki, he's a great player. And I agree. He is a good player. I would literally be happier to watch Nylander over Suzuki in the All-Star game. That was a Habs fan literally told me that. A Habs fan. If I would have said it, bias. I get it. A Habs fan told me that. The All-Star game is meant to have the All-Stars at the game. It's not a participation. If you want to make it fun, if you want to make it competitive, and you want to make it entertaining, you need to have the All-Stars there. That's the point. I'm not going there to watch Boone Jenner and Frankie Vetrano. And these guys are good players in the NHL, but they're not All-Stars. William Nylander's an All-Star. Elias Pettersson's an All-Star. Cale Makar is an All-Star. And these are players that I don't care. Mikko Rantanen is an All-Star. I don't care that they already have one guy representing their team. It's an All-Star game. Let the All-Stars play. It's ridiculous. I don't know. It just, that completely baffled me. And the NHL is not a league. Like, I don't know. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? I had to get this out. I found out about this right now. Right before I went live on this podcast, I knew, like, I wasn't expecting the best from the NHL. But when I saw the ballot of, like, who made the team, and before people come at me and say, oh, but they can get voted in with the fan votes, and some players who should be there will actually make their way there. That's not my point. What I'm saying is, from the get-go, these guys need to be on the team. If there's, like, you're telling me that the San Jose Sharks should have the exact same amount of players as the Vancouver Canucks and the Boston Bruins and the Leafs at the All-Star game? Why? They're like the worst team in the league. They're not an all-star team. Like there's obviously the best teams in the league are gonna have more all-stars than the teams all the way down at the bottom. Hello, what are we doing? What are we doing here? It doesn't make sense to me. It's like, oh man. And they want people to spend money on the game. It's in Toronto. Look, it's gonna be a sold-out event. They're gonna get all the money. To the real fans like me and you that are going to be watching this, like, give me a real reason to watch the All-Star event. Like, Oliver Bjorkstrand, for example, bro, like, at this point, just go to San Diego. Go to San Diego. Like, congrats to you for making the All-Star game. Congrats to you. Just go to San Diego. Like, this is why there's some players who don't even want to show up to these events, because it's like, it's not an actual All-Star game. Like, when you're watching the NBA All-Star game, like, those are the all-stars. Like, there's the best of the best at that game. When you're watching the NFL All-Star game or Pro Bowl, the best of the best are there. Why is that not the same in the NHL? Why do we have to make it a participation tournament? If there's teams that don't have an All-Star player, then those teams don't get a representative at the game. It's very simple. And if there's a team that has 5 players that should be at the All-Star game, then because they're the best team in the league, then put those 5 players at the All-Star game because they're having a cracked season. There's like 10 players on the Canucks that should be at the All-Star game before there's one San Jose Shark, besides Connor Bedard, before there's another Chicago Blackhawk, before there's any player on the Blue Jackets who make the All-Star game. Like, what are we doing here? Literally, what are we doing here? I don't know. I don't know. All that to say, I'll sum it up with this. I asked for a full performance from the Leafs, 60 minutes. That's what I wanted their focus to be. And thus far, the Leafs have done exactly that. Out of the possible 120 minutes of game they had to play, plus a little bit of overtime, they played 120 minutes. They found a way to get the wins. These were huge wins in the standings. They hopefully not quite out of it just yet. They need probably a win or two more to really get themselves out of it. But the Leafs are starting to get off of that losing streak and head back to the winning ways. And I really hope they can keep it up. And I've been very pleased with their performances. They just need to keep it up. This is what the fan base expects from this team, because we know that this is what this team is capable of doing when playing a full game. And that's all we ask. As for the All-Star game, I really want to know your guys' opinions. Like, I genuinely want to hear from like a Blue Jackets fan or a Sharks fan or a Seattle Kraken fan. Like, would you guys actually care if there was not a single one of your players at the All-Star game because your team is having like a mess season? And like, would you rather have like Draisaitl, Makar, Rantanen, Nylander at these games over your player, or do you like the way the format is? I don't know. I'm like the Leafs have more than one All-Star on their team. That's why like I'm probably on like the salty side of things, if you want to call it. And I think there's a lot more players that should be automatically at the All-Star game, like without votes or anything, like from the get-go should be there. But like, I want to hear from teams that are maybe not having that great of a season and there's maybe not an All-Star on your team. How do you feel about it? Like, what do you think? Like, I genuinely want to know. Like, I want to hear an unbiased opinion from like the other side. But yeah, so guys, that is going to be it for today's episode. That was really fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments regarding the All-Star, regarding the Nylander contract. Like, can someone explain me the math of how the Leafs are going to do this? I really want to know. I would love a full explanation, because at this point I'm completely lost and I don't know where these rumors come from. And yeah, also, how's your new year going? I hope it's off to a great start. I hope you, your family, your friends are healthy, safe, and sound. And I wish you guys all the best. That is going to be it for today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Please hit the like button. It really shows support If you got this far and you enjoyed it, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, share it to a friend, whatever it is you got to do. Thank you so much for your support. And the Leafs play tomorrow night against the San Jose Sharks in San Jose in hopes of extending these 60-minute performances. All you got to do is ask sometimes. Ask and you shall receive. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with That Leafs Fan on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.